Until yesterday, only 37 American male hockey players that played for Team USA had ever won a gold medal. In 1920 and then in 1980. And for the first time since the Miracle on Ice 46 years ago, the United States is golden once again, thanks in large part to Jack Hughes, who scored the golden goal in overtime for Team USA. Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. I'm Gerhard Mathangani, joined by Patrick Walsh. Patrick, we've been following these Olympics the entire time, you more closely than I, and we knew going in that the American team was going to be talented. The Team USA, had obviously a bunch of NHL players. They've been playing with each other for a while. To finally be able to bust that door down, that door down. What did you make of that performance? I'll let you take over on this one because you've been following this team and these players for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, there are so many different angles that you can break this down from because if you just look so closely at this team, there are so many good storylines. But the first one you got to start with is, honestly, I'm not even going to start with the golden goal. I'm going to start with Connor Hellebuyck because this guy was drafted in the 5th round. Up there in Winnipeg, won the Hart last year, which is, if you don't follow hockey closely, it's basically the MVP of the National Hockey League. He also won a few Vezina trophies, which go to the league's best goaltender. So this is a guy that can get it done in the regular season, but when the playoffs were on the line, I mean, Winnipeg just won the President's Trophy just a few years ago, and they were an early exit. And you want to know why? It's because Connor Hellebuyck just couldn't seem to turn it on in the playoffs. And that's going to be a reoccurring theme that I'm going to bring up here for some of these guys because a lot of guys silenced some doubters here, especially Austin Matthews, captain of USA. He had an assist yesterday, but it really wasn't that big of an assist because Matt Boldy kind of did all the work. That was one of the greatest goals I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
But Austin Matthews, he is also the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, which obviously Toronto is up there in Canada, and Toronto is basically like the New York Yankees of the NHL. You're going to have all the press up there, all of the pressure in the world, and Matthews is a guy that leads the NHL in goal scoring for the last few years. I know this year hasn't been as good. Toronto right now is not in a playoff spot, but he, like Connor Hellebuyck, has been critical, just because he can't win when it matters, and that's been a thing for Toronto. Obviously, for a while, if you do follow hockey, Toronto couldn't make it out of the first round. That was the running joke in the NHL. Is here comes another first round exit. Game 7, I would put money on the fact that Toronto would lose in the first round.
Yeah,
they finally made it out of the first round a few years ago, but still didn't really do anything. So for him to be able to win gold, it was just such a storybook moment.
Yeah, it was a lot of redemption. And you were mentioning, we were talking off the air, you were mentioning the fact that it felt like a redemption game for both him and Connor McDavid, and the fact that Matthews was able to come away on top and make history in the process. It felt to me like almost extra sweet.
It obviously, with Connor McDavid being thrusted into the captain role because Sidney Crosby didn't play in this game. He ended up leaving the quarterfinal matchup with a lower body injury. Penguins fans definitely hope that he's going to be okay moving forward because that's the last thing you want. I think Pittsburgh's actually making a nice push right now for a wild card spot. But coming into this game, you had Austin Matthews, who I just talked about, captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, going up against newly named captain of Team Canada and Connor McDavid, captain of the Edmonton Oilers, made the Stanley Cup final the last 2 seasons, could not get it done. What did McDavid? McDavid leads the NHL in points right now. But when it mattered in games 6 and 7 in the Stanley Cup final in 24, and then in the elimination game last year, 0 points. Could not get it done. So something had to give. Someone had to exercise some demons. And even though Austin Matthews really didn't do much, he exercised those demons and finally got it done.
So from the scapegoats to the actual goats, Jack Hughes was the man. Loses some teeth minutes before the golden goal. I think he loses 2 chiclets.
This might be the greatest picture of all time.
Oh yeah, that right there is an epic picture. I think if you were to crystallize the winter games, I think this is going to be one of the iconic moments that lives on forever. How big is this for Jack Hughes? And I know that obviously people don't compare him to whether it's Messier or
Right.
Wayne Gretzky or any of the GOATs of the game, but to step up in that kind of moment, to have his last name, how much they're tied in with hockey, him, his brother, his dad. How big was this for America as a whole and for him?
Well, first, this goal doesn't happen without the play of Zach Werenski and the pass that he was able to make to Jack Hughes to set up the game winner. But everyone's talking about Jack Hughes and how he's this American hero right now. A lot of people aren't talking about how he almost didn't even play in these Olympics, because if you go back to November, he had a freak accident when he was out at team dinner. The reports were that he had cut his finger, had to get surgery, was out for 2 months. And for him to go through that setback, obviously that's got to be pretty jarring on your mental health as well. And for him to go through that, took a cross-check and a high stick to the face, lost some teeth to come back and score the game winner here just a few days after his brother Quinn Hughes scored the game winner against Sweden and ended up lifting the U.S. over Sweden in the quarterfinal. That just means so much. But all of this also does not happen if 2010 America doesn't lose.
The pain of 2010.
The pain of 2010. And I remember it vividly because it's one of the first hockey memories that I have. And this picture right here, we'll get into this story too, because as I mentioned, stories around, like just galore. But if you go back to 2010, and if you don't remember 2010, it was this moment right here. Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal. Ryan Miller in net arguably had just as good of a game as Connor Hellebuck did. I mean, Ryan Miller in his prime was one of the greatest goalies that the United States had all time.
Yeah, no question about it. And like you said, there's so many levels to this that we could dive into. There's the game element, what actually happened in the game. Right. There's the overtime element, what happened there. If you like overtime, the way that it's structured and the way the format is, what this means historically. Of course, Johnny Gaudreau and the family situation there. And then what this is for hockey moving forward. I think I read a tweet of somebody who tweeted, I think maybe 10, 15 years ago, saying that 8 and under youth hockey had exploded, had like over 100,000 people in it. It's like, hey, watch out, 2026 Olympic Games. This could be something special for the United States. Let's talk that part of it too. Do you see a growth and an explosion in hockey in maybe not the same way that it was in 1980, because that inspired an entire generation, but do you still see something that could be spun off this for Team USA hockey moving forward?
I think so, because those numbers, it was the 8U men's hockey signups had eclipsed 100,000 for the first time ever. And that was after that 2010 gold medal game in Vancouver. And the U.S. had a chance in that game. Zach Parise scored the game-tying goal with like 30 seconds left to force overtime. But I think a lot of American young boys saw that game and really felt the pain that a lot of people did, because they had a chance to take down Canada in their quote-unquote own sport, on their own rink in Vancouver, and they just weren't able to get it done. So I'm sure that motivated a bunch of people, but this will also motivate a ton of people, because I'm sure there are a ton of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old boys that are trying to find what sport they like. Obviously, at that time, it's really good if you play a bunch of sports.
Correct, yes.
But if you are able to see this on TV and see the joy that all of these guys had and the brotherhood that they had. I mean, Matthew and Brady the Chuck, there were reports that Team Canada stayed in a fancy hotel. Team USA stayed in the Olympic Village.
Right.
And the Chuck brothers had their door open, truly just enjoying the whole experience. And it truly was like a brotherhood for this team.
Yeah.
So I really think that seeing Team USA win the gold here is going to inspire a lot of people to start playing hockey. I think that this was so big for the sport in general, because it seems like hockey is one of those sports where if you get it, you truly like it, but it really lacked the recognition that some of these other sports were getting, like the NBA, and especially since ESPN started taking over the coverage.
Right.
ESPN's always been NBA, NFL focused.
Yes.
I really hope, and I really do think that hockey as a whole won yesterday, just because everyone is talking about the sport right now. And, I mean, everyone was talking about Four Nations last year. I felt hockey won last year.
Right.
Now it just seems to be growing even more. We've got the playoffs here coming up in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
I think that this was so good for the sport, and we're going to start seeing attendance values continue to go up and viewership start to go up.
Yeah, you kind of touched on my next point. I am so excited to watch all of Team USA members that play for their NHL teams. Yeah. Speaking of, let me hit a quick timeout. You mentioned the Olympic Village. I thought that element was so cool because a lot of times in the more popular sports, men's basketball being one, it's easier to kind of keep yourself away from the other Olympic athletes. But I love the fact that whether it's the NBA players that spent time in the Olympic Village or the NHL guys, these are millionaires. Yeah. I mean, and they're seen in a different light. I like the fact they're in the Olympic Village. But no, to your point, I am so excited to see the ripple effect of what it has for the NHL, for Team USA guys, and for Team Canada guys as they go back to their respective squads, and how much this will be for NHL ratings as they move forward, because they were in front of our face for 2 weeks. I know they've been playing for half the season, but they were in front of our face, giving us reasons to root beyond being a Stars fan or being a Red Wings fan or being a Rangers fan. It was like, okay, Team Canada got together, Team USA got together. So I'm now more interested to see what these first 3 to 4 weeks of hockey look like in the regular season, because I'm more invested and more plugged in than I probably would be otherwise.
Well, I tell you what, USA just got off the plane here about an hour ago, and obviously these guys are going to go back to their respective teams. But the one thing I'm truly looking forward to is seeing these guys go back to their teams with also the Team Canada players, and there's going to be some banter between the two.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just know there's going to be like, here, I got gold, because I know Canada did it to the United States. I remember the Anaheim Ducks back in 2010 when Team Canada won the gold. They did this thing with Bobby Ryan, who was on Team USA at the time, with his silver medal. And they were basically, it was Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaff, two guys that were on Team Canada.
Right.
I'm sure the video is still on YouTube somewhere. I actually might go back and rewatch it, because I thought it was kind of funny back in the day. But they're just basically poking fun at Bobby Ryan, like, I got my gold medal, you just have your silver medal.
Right.
And so it truly is just, I can't wait to see, obviously, how the rest of this NHL season goes. We've got games starting again Wednesday, but this doesn't happen without 2010, though. Like, I'm sorry. A lot of people aren't really talking about it, because I just don't know why people aren't talking about it.
Right,
because it was such a big moment for the United States at the time. They thought that they could get it done. They weren't able to get it done. Now, here's one thing I will say. I really wish Sidney Crosby played in this game. Because it felt a little bit weird.
It felt a little flat to me that he didn't play, and even the announcer said they didn't really understand like what the injury was. He did not play in the game. Yeah. But then also too, it feels like, and this might be harsh to Canadians, it feels like there is a faction of Canadians that are like, well, we're still the better team. If you just take a look at the shots on goal and the fact that we played without our captain, then like Canada was the better team moving forward. And I was like, Canada might be the better team, but not always the better team wins the game. We see this in the NFL all the time. We see this in sports all the time, that the better team doesn't always win the game. I'm like you. I just wish that there wasn't that embedded excuse that their main guy wasn't on the ice.
You brought up what they were saying, and there was a specific player in mind that said exactly what you just said, and that was Nathan McKinnon. And he said, you be the judge on who the better team was today. I'll give it to you, Nathan. Yes, Canada outshot the United States. Seemed like they had dominated the whole game.
Yep.
But you said who is the better team? Goalies are on the team, and Connor Hellebuck was honestly one of the best goalies of all time yesterday.
Yes.
And so goalies are a part of the team. So technically, the score says it. The United States was the better team. And, oh, by the way, you had a wide open net, and you missed. And you hit the side of the net. And honestly, that was one of the more shocking things to me, because Nathan McKinnon is one of the best players in the NHL right now. He's won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche. Just scored a huge goal the other day against Finland in the semifinals. For him to miss the net, that was just Canada played so weird and so uncharacteristic at times that it almost felt like destiny on the 46th anniversary. Day of.
On the day of, yeah.
Which I just want to add something about this. A lot of people forget that the game against the Soviets wasn't the gold medal game.
Correct, yes.
I feel like that's something that's kind of getting lost in translation right now. That wasn't the gold medal game.
Right.
I believe the United States played Finland in the gold medal.
Yeah. And in which actually makes it even more impressive, the fact that they were able to take that, settle back down, and then play in the final, and then win. Final thing before we go, Johnny Gaudreau, a member, he was going to be a member of Team USA, obviously died tragically. He was honored both in the men's and the women's locker rooms with that number 13 jersey, and his kids after the game. That, to me, the Jack Hughes picture stands alone as an iconic moment, but that the Team USA honoring him the way that they did, I thought was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean, this picture just goes to show justice. I mean, they didn't have to go in the stands and bring the kids on the ice, but they did. And the image and the video of them skating around with his jersey, I mean, it's pretty emotional. And obviously, I'm a big hockey fan. I was devastated by the news of Johnny Gaudreau's passing. I still remember where I was when I found out the news.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he really was a budding superstar over there in Columbus. He started his career over in Calgary, ended up signing the big contract there with Columbus, and it was just super unfortunate and super tragic that his life ended up getting cut short. But somebody made this comment, and I don't know who it was on social media yesterday, but it felt like Team USA was playing 6-on-5.
Yeah.
It felt like Johnny Gaudreau's presence was on the ice there. Maybe with that game-saving save by Hellebuck on Devon Taves, or maybe, you know, he quote-unquote got a stick on Nathan McKinnon's shot that hit the side of the net, but it just felt like destiny yesterday for Team USA.
No question about it. This is a topic in a game, in a moment that we'll be talking about for a very, very long time to